let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Hello, welcome to Justice for Veterans. I'm your host, David Standridge. I'm a practicing attorney in the state of New Mexico, and I've been licensed to practice law since 1996. I'm the managing attorney at the Justice Legal Group, which is an Albuquerque-based law firm practicing veterans' disability benefits throughout the United States. I am VA accredited representative and also licensed to practice before the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. We welcome you to our show today. The Justice for Veterans show accomplishes three things. 1, educate the public about veterans' issues. 2, we hope to spotlight veterans and thank them for their valuable service to our nation. And 3, we hope to provide engaging interviews to inform the public about veterans' issues. We do this show because we believe in the service of what our veterans and service members have done for our nation. We invite you to be with us today. We're excited about the show and think you'll find it beneficial. In today's show, we want to discuss some important issues regarding veterans' disability benefits. A lot of times you're hearing in the news today issues regarding veterans' disability and the concerns that are happening. In fact, if you do a quick Google search, you're going to find that over 800,000 veterans are currently awaiting their benefits. In my opinion, that's a travesty and a shame for what the sacrifice our men and women have given to serve this country. But when someone is before the Veterans Administration, there's really two things they need to be concerned with when it comes to veterans' disability benefits. The first issue is you have to have a diagnosable current disability. What this means is you have to have a medical professional give you a written diagnosis of a disability. Now, what is that disability? It could be anything from PTSD to a tweaked knee or an ankle or a shoulder injury, a back injury, whatever it may be. It has to be a diagnosable current disability from a medical professional. That's one area that veterans oftentimes find problems with when they're dealing with their veterans' disability issues. The second issue is that the current disability needs to be service-connected. Now, what does service-connected means? In this most simplistic form, service connection means that you have to connect your current disability with some event that occurred while you were in service. It sounds easy, but think, for example, a Vietnam veteran who was involved in a firefight trying to come up with information and details of what occurred back in 1968. Oftentimes, that's a difficult task. And that's what we help veterans do. We help them get their current diagnosis, and we help them to accomplish the service connection. And so those are the two tenets of what the VA looks for when they're determining veterans' disability benefits and service connection. If you happen to have a question that you want us to address about a legal issue on disability, contact us at info@justicelegalgroup.com. And the next show, we'll discuss different disabilities. In this part of our show, we like to salute a particular veteran and thank them for their service of what they've done on our behalf and for our country. In this show today, we want to particularly recognize a veteran that's near and dear to my heart, and that is my father, David Allen Standridge Sr. And David Standridge Sr. was in the Army from 1968 to 1971, and instead of being drafted during the Vietnam War era, he chose to enlist. He was a distinguished sharpshooter, and David was a nuclear missile operator during the time he was in the Army. David was also stationed at Fort Belvoir in Virginia, as well as Fort Wainwright in Fairbanks, Alaska, and in Homestead Air Force Base in the state of Florida. David was honorably discharged, and so today, David Standridge Sr., this salute is brought to you by your loving family, myself, my mother, Sharon Standridge, and my brother, Jeremy Standridge. We salute you and thank you for your service. If at any time during our show you find it necessary where you would like to salute a particular veteran, we invite you to contact us so that we can honor them for their service. Email us at info@justicelegalgroup.com. Give us your name and email, and we will contact you with the information that we need in order to salute the veteran that you've highlighted. Thank you again, David Standridge, for your service to our nation. Hi, I'm David Standridge from the Justice Legal Group. Our firm represents veterans and helps them obtain benefits in their disability cases before the Veterans Administration. We believe that you worked hard to protect our nation, and we want to work hard to protect you. Welcome back to Justice for Veterans, and today we have a special guest with us, a friend of mine, as well as an honored war hero. We have David Williams with us. David is an officer at the Student Veterans Group at Brown Mackie College here in Albuquerque, and he's also an Iraqi war veteran. And so today we're going to talk to David a little bit about his time in service as well as his work with veterans within the community here in Albuquerque. So with no further ado, David, I'd like to thank you for being here today on Justice for Veterans, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and thank you for what you did in your service to our country.
You're welcome.
So Dave, we talked a little bit about what you do in terms of your service in the veterans community at Brown Mackie College.
Yes.
But before we jump into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your time in service? Tell us what branch you were in and when you served, from what time to what time.
I was in the Army for 9 years, from 2001 to 2009. And
what did you do in the military? What was your job function?
I was an infantry soldier, and we actually went on patrols and stuff in Iraq and knocked down some doors.
Okay, kind of the things that you see going on in the movies and such,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, before I want to talk to you about that, but before we get into that, let's get a little bit more about your background. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Aztec, New Mexico.
So a local boy.
Yeah. Yep. And
Did you go to high school there?
went to high school, graduated in 2000.
And how old were you when you went into the service?
I was 18.
18 years old.
Yep.
What were you thinking? What was going on in your mind at that time when you were joining? What was going on in the world? What was going on in your mind and your family?
Kind of just wanted to get out of town, go join the Army and travel.
Well, you definitely got that opportunity, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
So you were in the Army, and being in the Army, where did you go for your basic training?
I went to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay, and is that where all folks who join the Army go for basic training?
It's all the infantry soldiers. they
Okay.
go.
And did you have to have any kind of special training to be an infantry soldier?
Oh yeah, we train a lot more harder and longer actually.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit. Well, let me tell you, I've seen some movies. I saw Zero Dark 30 and some of those movies. But tell us, what was training like for an infantryman at the time you were in the military?
We started off by doing mount training, which is going in through houses and training through that, and just getting all the shooting down and everything like that.
Wow. And at the time you were doing that training, did you ever think it would actually come in handy and you'd actually have to do the things that you were training?
When I joined, it was before 2000 or 9/11 happened, and we were just training just
Wow.
to train.
So you actually were in the military before the attack on our nation, September 11th.
Yes.
And so what did you see in terms of a transition, your time in the military prior to 9/11 and then after 9/11?
A lot more security, a lot more.
What do you mean by that?
Our gates at Fort Hood, Texas were shut down, and everything was on lockdown. And nowadays, it used to be an open post, and now it's
Wow.
not.
Wow. So they're just like civilians have had a lot of changes in their lives, like with airport security and such. You also, even in the military, had changes in your lives as a result of what happened, that terrorist attack on our nation, right?
Yes.
It's something else. So you were in the military when 9/11 happened, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where were you at specifically? Do you remember?
I was out in the field, actually. I was driving Bradleys. Bradley is a infantry fighting vehicle, and it's an armored vehicle.
And how did you find out that the attack took place?
We were told over the radio, actually, And when we got back to our base, we were told to just start pulling guard on the motor pool, and did not have no idea what was going on.
How did it make you feel when you heard about that?
It made me scared, and everything was more intense.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, Dave, I want to get back into your service after 9/11, but before I do, let me ask you a question, because I hear this a lot with the veterans that I work with on the disability claims, and there's kind of a little, what do you call it, competition, so to speak, among the service branches. And so what made you decide to go into the Army?
Well, I decided to go into the Army just because it was more traveling, and I didn't want to be stuck on a boat. I didn't want to do any airplane maintenance or anything, so I just joined the Army.
Yeah, so, and did it live up to everything you thought it would be?
Oh, probably more.
And more. Both good and bad, I would imagine. Well, Dave, do you have other veterans in your family? Did you come from a military family?
My grandfather was a World War II vet. He was actually in the Bataan Death March.
Oh, wow. Wow, so I bet did you get a chance to talk to him and hear some of his stories?
Oh, there were some pretty horrific stories.
Yeah. Puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so let's talk about what happened after 9/11. When I introduced you, I mentioned that you're an Iraqi war veteran.
Yep.
When did you go to Iraq, and how did you find out about it? What were the circumstances?
In 2003, we got deployed in August of 2003, and we got sent over right beside Fallujah. And this was before Fallujah started acting up, and that's pretty much it. It started acting up.
How did you feel when you got the orders that you were going over to Iraq?
I was surprised. At first I was excited that, yeah, we're gonna go do this and that, and had fun. Just,
But reality certainly set in, didn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest, I guess, jolt of reality occurred to you when you got to Iraq?
Just how much far distance I am away from home, and all the freedoms and everything I have back in America.
We oftentimes take those for granted, don't we?
Yeah.
And so, did you have an opportunity to interact with the Iraqi people?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I obviously never went to Iraq. I did not serve in that capacity, but I hear things on the news and such. With you having been there, boots on the ground, so to speak, would you say that the news reports of what civilians are hearing back here in the States, is that an accurate reflection of what actually the service people are doing over there?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
How's it different? Tell us about that.
It's more, we do our job over there. And they don't really tell the full story. And we're over there helping out, building schools, school supplies, pass out to kids every day, and just helping out the community pretty much over there and building it up.
Yeah, those are things we don't see on the nightly news.
Yeah.
So, aside from being a soldier with a firearm, ready to defend our nation from terrorists, you also were there handing out things to school children and
every day, candy.
Wow.
Every day.
How do you think that impacted you, first as a soldier, and second as an American?
It was pretty intense. I didn't expect to go over there expecting to hand out candy every day, and now I look back at it, and I think it was a good thing that I got to actually experience that.
And why do you say that, Dave?
Just being able to remember the faces of the children that you helped, and knowing that they're in a better situation than they were.
And that was because of your service.
Yes.
It was because of the service of all of our servicemen and women who've decide to risk their lives and stand for our freedom so that we can do things like be on TV today discussing those kind of things. So thank you very much, Dave, for doing that. But let's turn our attention now about what you've been doing since you returned from Iraq.
All right.
So you said you returned from Iraq in what year?
2009.
2009. How old were you at that time? Can you do that math real quick?
I was about 27.
So at 27 years old, you come back from fighting in a war. How was the transition coming back to civilian life?
It was different. I mean, we drive around looking around at stuff that's on the side of the road, making sure it ain't a bomb or IED or something. And it's just totally different.
So let me make sure I understand. You're saying you would drive down the road, you'd see trash that we probably see every single day on the side of the road, and
Oh, yeah.
your thought went to, is this a bomb?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. How did you cope with those kind of things?
It took time. Driving and letting other people actually drive for you is even harder, I think.
Why do you say that?
It's just that I put more trust in myself in driving behind the wheel than I do anybody else.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something for our audience. I, for one, am absolutely amazed when I hear stories about what Dave is telling us. And although Dave is a unique person, his story isn't necessarily unique in that we have a lot of service members who are coming back from their time overseas, and things that we take for granted every day that seem to be commonplace, like trash on the side of the road, to these returning veterans, this could mean a life or death situation overseas. And so when we're looking at disability issues, a lot of times we forget that not only did these service members have to face bullets and guns and enemy combatants, but they also had to face the things that were going on between their ears, fighting the fear of seeing the trash on the side of the road that could have been an explosive device. And for that's something that we really cannot even fathom unless we've been into that situation. So Dave, we know you came back, and because I personally know you, I know you've been transitioning quite well into society and doing a good job, and you're helping a lot of people over at Brown Mackie College. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there in terms of helping veterans now who are coming back and facing some of the issues that you faced.
Trying to help out all the vets that are in school right now at Brown Mackie College, just trying to make sure they know what their benefits are in any community programs going on that are for vets. We try to inform them.
So when you came back and you returned to the civilian world, you decided to go get an education?
Yes.
And what did you study?
Criminal justice.
And you did that over at Brown Mackie College?
Brown Mackie.
And has the college been receptive to your efforts at trying to help veterans on the campus?
Very much so.
Yeah?
They're real good at it.
And how have they helped you out?
We've set up a program where every veteran that goes in, you pretty much get a packet, and it's telling you everything you know, everything we know about the benefits that are out there in this community in Albuquerque, and the VA and everything like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really good, Dave. So in terms of your group, is there a name of your group at Brown Mackie College?
It's the Student Veterans of America.
Student Veterans of America. And is
SVA.
SVA? Is that a nationwide?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what do you have to do to belong to Student Veterans of America?
You got to go to their meetings for one, and you sign up on the internet, and there's a program through that.
That's great. That's great. Have you been able to actually help out a lot of veterans?
Oh yeah, lots
good.
of veterans.
Help them find the kind of benefits that they're entitled to?
Oh yeah, and there's even programs where you can find them jobs and stuff like that.
Well, what kind of jobs are veterans? I mean, you say you help them find jobs. What do you mean when you say that?
Well, we can send them to the Workforce Connection here in Albuquerque.
Okay.
And they have a veterans group there.
Okay.
And you can sign up, and they'll set you up. And first veterans, they get 24 hours priority on the first job that comes out.
Wow.
And
So what is that called?
It's a workforce connection.
Workforce
Veterans.
Connections for veterans?
Yes.
And who is that through? What entity?
I'm not sure.
Is it through the state of New
it's
Mexico,
through
the
the
city
state.
of Albuquerque?
It's through the state.
Okay, and is there an office where people can go, veterans can go to try to get some of this information on obtaining employment?
Yes, it's on Edith and Mountain.
Edith and Mountain. And for the audience, can you tell do you know the name of the person who's in charge of that they may be able to get a hold of?
Gary Barrier.
Gary Barrier.
Yeah.
Okay. And so have you also been going through this program?
Yes, I have.
And so what kind of jobs have you been able to do as a result of your veteran status and trying to have Workforce Solutions assist you?
Right now, as I'm going through college, it's I can go through a work-study program, and it's through the VA. It gets paid no taxes.
Wow.
And
That's great. And do they help place you in employment areas?
Yes, they do.
Where are you working right now?
I'm working with the program that places vets into the group.
So you kind of oversee some of that.
Yes.
So you're the person. Would you be the person that veterans go to for the first step of trying to find some employment related benefits?
Yes.
Okay. And so for the audience, how can they get in touch with you through email or phone, or how do they get in touch with you if they need to get some assistance with employment related benefits?
We would go to Workforce Connection. They're on Edith and Mountain, and we could give you all the information.
Okay. And they just ask for you?
Yeah, or Gary Barrier.
Okay. Well, I kind of got down that little rabbit trail on that, talking about Workforce Solutions, but it's a great opportunity for veterans who need some employment assistance.
Yes.
Do you happen by any chance to know the numbers of veterans that you serve on an annual basis through that system?
I have no idea.
No? Okay. Well, you know what? I think that sounds like an excellent opportunity for a future show. So let me keep asking you some questions about Brown Mackie College, okay? So what do you see in terms of what you're dealing with vets there at Workforce Connections and at Brown Mackie College? What do you see the biggest challenge facing veterans trying to transfer back into the civilian community? What's the biggest challenge that they're facing?
The veterans, most of them don't even know what their benefits are, and just showing them knowledge of what the benefits are is pretty much big to them, and that's what we do.
Now, in my experience, veterans tend to stay together. Yeah. So when one veteran finds success, another veteran is told about it, and it kind of has a springboard effect, and it branches out in the veteran community. Is that what you find too, and what you're doing?
Oh yeah, that's what we do there at Brown Mackie College. If a veteran doesn't know anything, and we tell him, he'll tell his friend, they'll tell their friend, and so on.
That's great. That's awesome. And so you say that the biggest challenge that veterans are facing is, I would paraphrasing, obtaining information about their benefits.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think, having been a veteran, having served overseas, come back, transitioning back into the civilian population, what do you see being the solution for getting that word out to helping those veterans?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, these veterans need something to look forward to, and I'll try to help them out as much as I can.
What do you see, and I may be asking you a question that is beyond your pay grade, and I get that, but what do you see for veterans? I mean, how can we get the word out to veterans about these different benefits?
TV shows like this and internet. There's a lot of internet going on at Brown Mackie College.
Okay.
And
okay. That's good to hear. That's good. So the internet, television are good vehicles for that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Now let me ask you a little more specifically. Do you have an opportunity to see and work with veterans who are disabled?
Yes, all the time.
And what do you think the biggest problem they're facing regarding their benefits?
Actually knowing that what they can actually get into and who they need to go to for that information.
Are you finding a certain level of frustration in the veterans community regarding, I guess, for lack of a better word, access to timely decisions for those benefits?
Oh yeah, there's a lot that just kind of put it off to the side and try to say we'll deal with it later.
Sure. You know, recently I read on the internet over 800,000 veterans are awaiting decisions in their disability claims. And I find that to be a real problem, Dave. Are you seeing that in the veterans you work with, that they're having to wait an extremely long time to have access to the benefits that, in my opinion, they've earned and they deserve?
Oh yeah, that's very important. I think it needs to be fixed.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Well, what do you think can be done to help fix that?
I believe just informing people and going out there and finding the guys that are disabled and actually letting them know the information that they need to know.
Okay. Well, Dave, I really appreciate you being here. And as we wrap this up, let me just ask you, can you tell our audience, what are your future plans to help vets in our community?
I'm going to be out there trying to help vets in Brown Mackie College, Workforce Connection, and everything that all the vets are looking forward to.
All right, great. Well, we want to thank our guest today, Dave Williams. I consider him to be a war hero, having served our nation in Iraq and now currently helping veterans within our community. And if you would like to also appear, or you know a veteran who would like to appear here on Justice for Veterans, then please drop us an email at info@justicelegalgroup.com. We encourage you to help promote the things that are going on in the veterans community through our own efforts and through the efforts of other veterans here. We hope to be able to get out the information that Dave Williams told us about today to the veterans community and hopefully benefit the vets who've so proudly and honorably served on our behalf. And so we thank Dave Williams again for being here with us today and the information that he provided to us. If you would like to reach Dave in terms of anything he spoke about today, have any questions for him specifically, you can contact him also by emailing us and we will forward your information to him. Again, you can contact us at info@justicelegalgroup.com.
Thank you for watching Justice for Veterans. A special thanks to the Ronald Reagan Foundation, the Justice Legal Group, and the veterans who have made this show possible. Tune in next week for a new episode of Justice for Veterans.